Coming up on this episode of The Social Hour. Wait, people can Facebook message me that don't know me for $1? We'll talk about that. Plus, the new Facebook Poke standalone app. Do you like it? I don't know how I feel about it yet. Plus, what do you do when you share a Twitter name with a porn star? All that and more next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Bandwidth for the Social Hour is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is The Social Hour with Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur, episode 90, recorded December 21st, 2012. This episode of The Social Hour is brought to you by Social Media Solutions from SAP. If you're a social media manager at a large enterprise, gain insight and engage in social media in a systematic way with Social Media Solutions from SAP. Learn more at sap.com/twit. And by Ford, featuring Bliss, the blind spot information system with cross-traffic alert and active park assist. Check out these available features on the 2013 Ford Fusion and 2013 Ford Taurus, and learn more at ford.com/technology. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Social Hour. It's episode 90, and from TWiT World Headquarters in Petaluma, California, with a little festive eggnog, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur, and I'm in South Florida. I do not have eggnog with me. If I knew Sarah, I would have grabbed a glass of eggnog, but I did not know. It seems like you guys are having fun at TWiT headquarters during the holidays, from what I can tell based on Leo popping up here and there, bourbon, all those other things.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bourbon in my eggnog. It's just to warm the stomach, because it's so cold outside. That's all. But no, it's been a kind of a festive week because although we will have a social hour for all of you next week, as usual, at the regular time, we've pre-recorded it. So next week, most of the staff actually is off doing our holiday stuff, and we're not actually working. So it's been a little giddy around the offices, particularly today because, well, yesterday too, because I'm in sort of my last hour and a half of TWiT before taking a little break, which is very bittersweet, but, January comes soon enough.
It's nice to have a break, though, Sarah. Nonetheless, there is still tons of social media news. News that I woke up to this morning was from Facebook. We're always talking about Facebook on the show. This may upset some people. Facebook announced that they're testing out a new feature that will potentially let people send a message to someone on Facebook for $1, a message to someone that they're not currently friends with. This would go directly into your inbox instead of into your other folder. So a few people have said about this across Twitter, Facebook, and other sites. I get where maybe they're coming from as far as trying to figure out a way, once again, to make money. However, I think this is very spam-like, and I don't think they're going to be able to go through with this. And I think it's another example of them and their hacker way and just kind of throwing things out there to see what will stick. And hopefully this doesn't go through.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why, in what case this would be kind of cool and helpful so I can reason beyond this is just a terrible idea and why would they want to spam up our personal messages area that way. And like you said, Amber, currently you've got a messages area for if you want to message back and forth with people who are your friends on Facebook. And then there's an other category. I looked at it earlier today, actually. There were a couple things from actual friends of mine that were in other. I'm not really sure why. But then there was just a lot of random stuff. I mean, it didn't apply to me. It was from either an individual or some sort of a page that I didn't understand, I wasn't familiar with, I certainly hadn't liked, and I don't ever want to see that stuff. It just doesn't have any relevance. But if you were, I guess, a business, they do this on LinkedIn, right? You can pay to be able to send in-mail messages to other LinkedIn members.
Of course. Yeah, but I think it's a different environment. And this has been my argument all day with people is that I think the LinkedIn environment, really for most people, it is about selling something, whether it's selling your expertise, you're selling something as far as your business. People understand it's a professional network, but this seems more like an invasion of your privacy on Facebook because I think there is that expectation there that, everyone from grandchildren through to their grandparents are using the service and are expecting that messages are private.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that too. And right, exactly. It's like if it's not going to be reciprocated, you should just have some sort of an option. There's got to be. Facebook would be. There are enough businesses that would spend money to spam on Facebook and upset everybody enough so that Facebook would have to have some sort of an opt-out option.
You would think, but then probably by default, maybe you were opted in. I mean, this is the frustrating thing. And Sarah, I don't know about you, but I'm getting to the point with Facebook that I feel as though sometimes that they are just testing all of these features and they're putting it out there into the internet space and just wondering what people are going to say. And then if there's a bad reaction, they don't go through with it. And I feel like we're guinea pigs sometimes. It just rubs me the wrong way. And this is another example of that.
Well, we are going to get to a little bit more new stuff from Facebook. Actually, talk about being a guinea pig a little bit later on in the show. But we should move on to, this is actually sort of a related Facebook story because we're talking about Instagram, who has absolutely reverted the original terms of service back to the, let me say that right. Let me make sure I get that right. The terms of service that Instagram had changed earlier this week have now been reverted back to the original terms of service that they had as, their boilerplate when they launched in, I think, October 2010. So basically, everything's back to how it was before, as if nothing happened. Now, Amber and I should just say, we shot a show for next week a little bit out of order. So she and I have already talked about this, and you'll see a little bit more of that conversation next week. But we'll just sort of assume that everyone's somewhat caught up on this whole debacle. Amber, what do you make of this? I mean, in a way, I feel like it's Instagram sort of saying all we were doing was trying to word our terms of service a little bit more specifically. You guys didn't want specific because specific scared you. So we're just going to go back to the more vague version of our terms of service that you've had this whole time, which doesn't actually change our intentions at all, but it seems to have stopped the hysteria because people say, we complained and Instagram listened.
Well, I think more than anything, what Instagram has done through this, and I think it has been a good move, and they reacted, I think, quickly, which was really important in this case because so many people were upset about this. But I also think that they had to come out and say, specifically, even though it's not in the terms of service, the old new terms of service, whatever you want to call it, that they would not be using users' photos in advertisements. So they've come out and said that a number of times, and they've made that language very clear in a statement that was a blog post on their site. So even though they don't have that specific language in the terms of service, I think they hopefully have cleared people's minds and made them feel at ease in terms of using the service and been very detailed about what they plan to do with your images. And in this case, hopefully not too much as far as selling them.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's inevitable. Instagram will start we'll start introducing advertising sooner than later. I mean, it's right around the corner. They have so many users. Facebook owns them. They want to make money. This is not rocket science. And even though I understand that people are extremely uncomfortable with the idea of their photos being used in a manipulating way to sell goods and services, I totally do get that. We still don't, and Kevin Systrom said this in an updated blog post this morning. Listen, what we did wrong was tell you our intentions before there was anything really to do. It was just our intentions to maybe introduce some sort of advertising. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that advertising, the method, what we've decided we're going to do is cut and dry. We're ready to go. And at that point, we are going to ask the users, okay, do you agree to this specific thing? So it's sort of like they got specific before they actually had a product. Mm-hmm. And that freaked people out.
Yeah, it definitely did. And it looks also like they're trying to get some more love back from their users. There's another announcement, just reading about this on the Next Web, that they've introduced a new filter on Instagram. This is the Mayfair filter. Nothing too jazzy about this, but people always love to see new filters. And also the ability to share photos from any album is once again an option. Now, based on this article on the Next Web, it looks like there still are some kinks to work out. It's a little bit buggy right now, but maybe, again, I just imagine the hysteria over at Instagram trying to make sure that they won back the loyalty of so many people who've depended on the service for so long and absolutely love it. So a bit of good news from Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got the new Instagram loaded here. They just did introduce Willow, which is a black and white filter, last week, I think, when they made some improvements to their camera. Don't mind my eggnog there, everyone. I hope it's very appetizing to you. That's a picture of Stephanie. She looks like she's having a good time, whatever she's doing. So, okay, I go ahead and click on the camera, and I take a photo of my eggnog. Very nice. And then I've got normal Amaro. Oh, Mayfair. Okay. I like that. That's pretty good. It made my original picture look better. That's the picture. Now, I know half of the people in chat room would say, no, it doesn't. The original's always better. But who asked you?
It's like a purple hue in the middle, right? That's what it looks like almost?
Yeah, so if I look at normal, like back and forth, yeah, and it gives a little, what's the word when you have the edges sort of blacked out a little bit?
Vignette.
Vignette, yeah, it gives a vignette quality, kind of isolates that first image. That's kind of nice. Yeah, sure, I'm into it. I'm probably not going to upload this because it's just not a very good picture. But, hey, that's all I had to work with at the time. Whatever. Yeah, Instagram, Amber, the part about Instagram finally allowing us to upload photos from any album, that confuses me a little bit because I don't see multiple albums in my options. I'm not really sure what that means. You've got your camera roll, and I guess you could have like Photo Stream or some other albums that you designated. I don't know, maybe I just don't have enough albums on this phone to really take advantage of it. I don't know, I have Hipstaprints. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if you've played around with it any more than I have.
Yeah, I haven't played around with it yet. My understanding was just, I guess, if you had a number of albums in terms of using different services, you'd have the ability to upload from there. I don't know if this was something they have taken away, but it looks like that they didn't have it. They had lost it in a previous update and reintroduced it again, probably again because people complain so much. In some ways, I feel sorry for these technology companies. They have to constantly listen to so many people online who get up in arms and end up, spouting off different things on social media sites, but it's good to see them change quickly and react quickly. It's always a good thing for users.
I agree. I think that Instagram has handled this debacle, with a lot of, I don't want to say grace, because how can you say anything like that about a company, but gracefully. I mean, that's how I've felt that the team has approached this. I know a few people who work at the Instagram team down at Facebook now. Kevin is one of them, and there's a couple other really, really great, smart employees, and it's like these people are awesome. They're good people. They love photos. This is really not about screwing people over. It's just sort of the way of business. And now that they're in a huge, huge mega corporation, they've just got to figure out the best way to proceed, without confusing people.
Yeah, definitely. Now, our next bit of news is a little bit confusing. I think at first I read a couple of different articles on this particular topic, and I didn't know a lot about it. But basically what's happened this week is the House of Representatives have amended a bill to the Video Privacy Protection Act to now allow sharing from services like Netflix to announce that you are watching certain things on, as far as television shows and movies across social media channels. Now, Sarah, I don't know if you know more about the legality of this particular issue. I mean, it seems like Netflix is very happy that things are going their way and people will be able to do that, but I wasn't really clear that it didn't already have that functionality built in or there was any issues with doing that in the first place.
Yeah, so the issue is in the U.S., there is an act called the Video Privacy Protection Act, and what it the idea is that it is protecting people like me from spying eyes into what my video viewing history might be. Whether it's renting movies or just kind of anything. So, and in most cases, people say, I don't want to share that kind of stuff. Well, if you think about something like Facebook, having the open graph and all of the sharing that people can do on Facebook, for example, I have my Rdio account hooked up to Facebook. So every time I listen to a song on Rdio, there's a record of that, and my friends, if they're interested, can follow along and that sort of stuff. If I take a picture on Instagram, same thing, or Path or that sort of thing. But there's no option to hook up something like Netflix to Facebook because of this Video Privacy Protection Act. Now, the Protection Act was put in place before things like Netflix and, Facebook existed, certainly in this capacity. So what's going on is it's legislation that has to be passed. A similar bill about a year ago got into the House of Representatives and then got through the House of Representatives and I believe died in a Judiciary Committee in the Senate. This particular one has passed. So basically, if President Obama signs it, we're good to go. And, whether that's good or bad, it completely depends on, the kind of person you are and what you like to share on Facebook. But Netflix, obviously, is really behind this going through because social sharing on Facebook can be a really big user boon for services. We've seen that with Spotify. We've seen that with Social Cam. I mean, Social Cam got huge because it was part of Facebook's Open Graph. And then it got bought for a lot of money. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, and we've talked a lot on the show about the whole social television experience and how important that is to both advertisers and people producing content. So this is just another sign, I think, of the way that things are going as far as people wanting to have that social experience when they're watching some type of content. Now, Sarah, speaking of social experiences, I know you added this to the rundown, and I have probably watched this particular video maybe, 30 or 40 times because my son absolutely loves it. But Gangnam Style reached a new record.
Yes, Gangnam Style is the first video on YouTube to reach 1 billion views. Believe it or not, it didn't happen until today. It's funny. We talked about this on Tech News Today earlier today, and I was like, didn't this already happen? Why are we talking about this video again? And it was, no. What had happened before was Gangnam Style became the most viewed video on YouTube ever, and it went past the previous champion was some Justin Bieber video. So at that point, it was in the high millions, but still had not reached 1 billion. So here we are at the end of the year. That song came out, I don't know, in the summer? Not that long ago. And
not that long ago, no.
A very popular video. Not my favorite song, but if your son likes it, then, maybe that speaks a little bit to where those views are coming from. It's the little kid saying, again.
I want that again. What's really interesting about this article on YouTube's blog is the stat about how many people have actually purchased the song on iTunes. I did not realize that he became the first Korean artist ever to rank #1 on the U.S. iTunes chart and #1 in over 30 countries. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal as far as how many people not only just watched the video, but then took that extra step to go and buy the song. So phenomenal success on that front. I actually had a chance to see him in Toronto. Samsung hired him when they launched the new Samsung Galaxy Note 2, and he did the launch party, and it was a ton of fun, I have to say. Not that I have the song on all the time, but definitely an amazing entertainer and a lot of fun to see live too.
Well, he has been definitely on the talk show circuit. Not that I watch a lot of talk shows, but I've seen little clips here and there. And he certainly seems like a happy individual. I mean, he's enjoying all of this. So congratulations to Psy and Gangnam Style. May the video rest in peace into 2013. There should be a rule. If you've gotten to 1 billion views, good on ya, but people hate you by now. So you have to go into some sort of a vault.
Yes.
And not be accessible
just for a while.
Anymore.
And then maybe come out with another hit. Yeah, just for a while.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that front.
All right.
We'll see what
Quick reminder that we record the Social Hour live on Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Amber and I are very rarely in the same place. It's only happened once, in fact. In the history of our little show,
only once,
90 episodes long. But we have a good time. We feel like we like to travel the globe a little bit more, make sure that we're getting the social angle from a lot of places. So thanks to everybody who watches us live. But if you don't watch live, you know where to go, twit.tv/TSH. That is our show page where all of our episodes live. You get subscription links if you want to subscribe to the show, which of course is totally free. We have audio and video feeds. The video one is, Amber's so pretty, you probably just want to use the video. But if for any reason you're commuting or you like the idea of the show, but the video seems like too much of a commitment, we always offer audio feeds for all of our shows. So that's our mothership there. And of course, you can email us at thesocialhour@twit.tv if you have any questions or comments on anything that we talk about or suggestions for future shows, all that good stuff. All right, Amber, we got some tips and some spotlights and a lot of viewer feedback. But first, let's take a moment to thank SAP for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. We love SAP and a product they've got called Social Media Solutions because it's absolutely perfect for all of our listeners and viewers who work in social media for the enterprise. The enterprise is one of those places where you've got to have a social media team now because people are talking about your product. People say good things. People say bad things. People want to buy stuff. People get frustrated. You gotta stay on top of all of that. And staying on top of the web can be a daunting task. Social Media Solutions has a couple of components that really help you out. The listening component searches the web in a smart way to know what's being said about your brand. So you've got keywords, you've got key people. It can surface sentiment, so you get an idea of, okay, well, my company was talked about 5 times today, but in what way? What's the general mood of all of this? Helps you build better products because it incorporates real-time customer feedback into what you are building. So in real time, which of course is very important. You can't do this stuff once a week. This stuff has got to be coming in all the time because that's how social media works. Helps you identify customers who are ready to buy. If you're in the business of selling products, you need to know who those people are and make sure that you help the sale go through. Uses natural language processing. SAP calls it NLP. Natural language processing is better than ever, and SAP is really leading the charge with some of this technology. This is a way to automatically know the differences between things that people say. One of the really popular examples is, the service has never been good. That's someone who's frustrated, like this is terrible. Or the service has never been this good. Now, those are two different things, but on paper they look pretty similar. The engaging component is then what you and your team take to action. Once you've listened, you've got all this information from Social Media Solutions. What do you do? So you can set rules about which messages get routed to which customer service rep, how they should be dealt with. Social Media Solutions from SAP gives you accurate and real-time understanding of how your brand is performing out there. Social media can be sort of a vast wasteland of information, and this is the way to make use of it, make sense of it, and then make use of it. If you manage the social media presence for a large regional or national enterprise, do get in touch with SAP. See what they've got for you. See if this is your answer. SAP.com/twit is the website to visit. They got a lot more information there. Again, that's SAP.com/twit. We thank them for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. All right, Amber. All right. No, we were talking about YouTube before the break, and now there's more YouTube news.
Yes, more YouTube news. We really don't have a lot of YouTube news, but it seems that there is a lot this week. This one is kind of cool. So this is our social tip for the week. If you like to record videos and upload them to YouTube and you find that process a little bit cumbersome, maybe it takes too long, you'll be very happy to know that they've just come out with a new app. It's called YouTube Capture, and this is available for iOS devices right now. And it allows you to really easily record a video and send it straight up to YouTube. So it doesn't take too long at all. It allows you to also share it across social media sites. Again, integration with services like Google+, not a big surprise there, Facebook and Twitter. Once again, like we said on our last show, which will air next week, the Google+ is making it more difficult not to use their services as time goes on and as more of these tools have that integration built into it. Also, some really basic functionality built in that allows you to stabilize your video, do a couple of other things. But again, just the instant quality of being able to send those videos up to YouTube more quickly and more efficiently.
Isn't it weird that the YouTube app doesn't actually do this? This is actually a separate app from the YouTube app. The YouTube app is about consuming. You're watching other stuff. And I think you have a certain amount of organizational options for your own account, but not actually uploading videos.
It's kind of funny. I totally agree with you. You know, one great feature about this particular app is that it will not allow you to take your videos when the phone is vertical. You have to be in portrait mode. So that's something that's built in. You can turn it off if you choose to. But again, encouraging more people to shoot horizontal videos. And I think that's kind of a fun and great feature, again, to make sure the quality of the video is good. But totally agree. Surprised that this isn't something that's been more easily built into the YouTube app itself, but I think we see this with Facebook too. Facebook also has a standalone camera app, I believe, if I'm right.
Oh yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know it's just messy, right? You know, I don't think people want to do this, but however, if you tend to be someone who takes a lot of videos and likes to upload to YouTube, this will make your life that much easier.
Yeah, I think this is, they're definitely taking a page out of what Facebook sort of says, okay, we've got our Facebook app where you can pretty much do everything. But then if you're just really wanting to upload photos and the Facebook app seems overwhelming, well, why don't we just roll out a Facebook camera app? Because then you'll still be using Facebook, and that's what we want you to do. And so we'll just give you that little piece of functionality that the whole network provides. Then there's Facebook Messenger. I use Facebook Messenger all day because I like to get off of SMS and just use data with my buddies. And they're all on Facebook, and it's fine. And there's just no need for me to go into the entire app because I'm basically just texting back and forth. And you know, the list goes on with Facebook apps. But yeah, YouTube Capture, it seems to me like it sure would be nice if they could all make it into one app. But maybe that's just not realistic. I mean, they're even stylized differently. I mean, they'd have to reimagine the YouTube app, which is fairly new in the App Store now that it's not actually part of iOS anymore. It's something that YouTube and Google released in the App Store, just like a regular old standalone app. So it's very nice. And I don't upload a lot of stuff to YouTube, Amber, because, well, I mean, we do so much video here at TWiT. It's like I'm not doing a whole lot of personal videos that are outside of, you know, what I do, you know, as my craft. But clearly a lot of people do. And that would be a nice thing to have on the fly.
Yeah, exactly. Again, just a really easy thing. And it looks like it is super simple. And you can also maintain as much privacy as you want in the sense that you can choose as far as making the video public or private and what networks it goes out to. So I think they did a nice job of streamlining the entire experience. So great for social media marketers. We talk about this a lot on the show. People who need to put those videos out quickly and you want a fast way to do it. You'll love the app and you'll love that it's free.
I agree. So, okay, we talked about YouTube and YouTube apps, and I realized we're about to get into the next thing. So it's sort of a nice little segue into our next segment. And this is a new app called Facebook Poke. Now, before I show you what Facebook Poke is all about, are you familiar, Amber, with the service Snapchat?
No, I'm not actually.
Snapchat is very popular with the kids. Snapchat is a service. It's a standalone app that allows you to send photos, I think, or videos for a limited amount of time. So if I were to send you, you know, like a picture of me making like a crazy face and said, I want Amber to have access to this photo for 5 seconds, then you would look at it for 5 seconds, after which point it would self-destruct. Now,
okay, I have heard of this.
You have heard of this. Yeah, they call it the sexting app because, you know, everyone thinks, oh, kids are just going to send sexy pictures back and forth to each other because they'll never last. Well, that's not true. Obviously, everyone knows how to take a screenshot. Snapchat, it's funny. Snapchat cannot prevent you from taking a screenshot because you're on your local machine, your phone. But it will alert the sender that you did. So if I sent something risque to Bob, the mailman, and Bob, the mailman, takes a screenshot, I'm like, I can't stop him, but at least I know he did that. So it's just, you know, of course it scares adults and, you know, kids think it's great. Facebook Poke is Facebook's answer to Snapchat. It works in almost exactly the same way. I've been playing around with it a little bit earlier today. Me and some friends were sort of poking back and forth. What's kind of funny is like, and none of the stuff was risque, by the way. What's kind of funny is that I've looked at all of this stuff and I can't again because my time has run out. You know, my friend Nate sent me a picture of like a horse or I don't even know. And you know, he was writing funny things. And I've looked at this stuff And that's it. It's done. Now, I don't remember even what he sent to me last. I don't know, something funny. But if I were to say, okay, well, now I want to, reply to him, I've got the option to actually just poke, which I think is really stupid. I hate Facebook poke. I don't need another app to Facebook poke anybody. It's just so dumb. Or I can say something, and I can say, I want you to see this text for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 second. I don't know why. Or camera. Again, I could, take a photo of my vomit nog, send it over for a few seconds. Now I know, or obviously video too. I know a lot of you out there are thinking, this is just so stupid. Why would you do, what is the point of the self-destructing message? But in a way, and I'm still trying to get my head around it. And I know that, in many ways, I'm probably just not the target market, but it was fun to send stuff back and forth earlier because it doesn't mean it's the little one-offs. These images and videos that were sent to me, I don't need to save. I don't need to keep. I certainly don't need them taking any space up on my phone. And it's a little bit almost like, if I saw you in passing, Amber, and I made that funny face, you kind of laugh and then it's in your memory. It's not something that you can go back to. The moment's gone.
I see.
So what do you think? This is Facebook's, I don't know, it's like their 6th standalone app or something. So it's starting to get a little crowded in there. But would you use it?
I don't know if I would use it, to be honest with you. I think maybe I would use it like you have in the sense that it's kind of that novelty thing. You start using it at first, it's sort of fun, and then maybe I'll never use it again, unfortunately. But I can see if they have some competition out there and it's something that maybe a younger generation really likes to use and they like that functionality. I think it could be interesting, but I don't think I would use it. I can't think of any reason that I would ever use something like that. Maybe I'm boring, Sarah.
You're not boring. I thought the same thing. I've never used Snapchat. In fact, I don't even have it downloaded. I know people who, they're having fun with it, whatever. But with Facebook Poke, I thought, well, okay, got to talk about it on the social hour. This is the perfect show to talk about stuff like this. And I like what my friend Nate, who actually works down at Facebook, I sent him like a dumb picture of a mug that says "World's Best Boss," just like I was just trying to confuse him. And then he sent me back something that was weird also, and I could see that he was in a conference room, and then I sent him kind of like a funny, weird picture. And then he sent me, and it was sort of like, even though I feel like it's like a time wasting thing, there's not a lot of meaningful anything that's going on here. It was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. It was fun to see what he was sending me and how long I had to look at it because it'll give you a little time's running out type of a thing. So I don't know.
Wait, Sarah, is this a standalone app?
Yeah. This is Facebook Poke, which is it's live in the App Store now, and it's free, of course. But yeah, it's a standalone app. It's yet another. What I think that they should have done is somehow figured out how to add this functionality into Facebook Messenger, which is a pretty popular app because it's just basically a texting app. If you could add this functionality into a texting app, then you wouldn't need 2, because I don't need that many Facebook apps on my phone.
Well, now this is like 3, right? From them. There's so many. That's, I think, another issue is that having to have multiple apps is a little bit frustrating. Although the more I think about it, the more I could see, cousins of mine who are in their teens, I could see them absolutely loving this and using it on a regular basis because so much of their life revolves around Facebook and the community that they have there. So, may be successful with that younger generation.
Yeah, I've even hearing folks online say things like, the Facebook Poke app works just like Snapchat, but is actually better designed, and that might work against it. Just because it's like, if you're talking about teenagers, they're not necessarily looking for the beautiful app.
Not necessarily.
Maybe, it's just sort of like the trendy, splashy app. So we will have to see how Facebook Poke fares. My thinking is that I will probably get a few more pokes for the next, weeks or months, and then I'll never use it again.
And then it's done. I know,
and then
unfortunately.
It's done. Like a lot of other things.
Well, this is a very interesting piece of feedback that we got in an email from someone who has a question about how she should sort out her social media accounts, her private account versus her business account. So she says that she's starting a new freelance graphic design business and is looking for ways to reach new customers. She's embraced social networking, but has discovered some issues with her identity, similar to the story that we talked about before on our most recent show. A simple Google search reveals that there is another woman of the the same name, Heidi Hansen, who I'm gathering based on what she's saying in this email, works in the adult entertainment business. And therefore, when people in human resources are searching for Heidi's name, this particular Heidi who wrote us the email, they come across some messages and some content that's totally inappropriate and doesn't reflect the woman who emailed us. She mentions she's on Twitter as at Heidi Hansen and also as H Hansen Design. She says she gets a lot of bad emails to her personal account. That's at Heidi Hansen because the other Heidi Hansen is also on Twitter. She says it gets very gross and inappropriate. And she's also creating a Facebook page. She's wondering, do we have any advice? What should she do? Very interesting situation, and I'm sure she's not alone. There's other people who have this situation where they're have the same name as someone else, maybe not as extreme as someone working in the adult entertainment business, but you can see how this mistaken identity issue can come up time and time again and cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, oh gosh, I have a lot of friends who have the single name Twitter account. At Ryan is Ryan Block, who works for Gadget and husband to Veronica Belmont. And he has great stories about how when you get to the end of an American Idol season, everyone's tweeting at Ryan Seacrest, and he's just getting all of it because they're putting spaces between Ryan. It's just, and the list goes on. It depends on when it was Paul Ryan, the politician. Yeah. Then there's and you hear that with one name folks on Twitter all the time, that it's kind of cool to be the Ryan on Twitter, but it's a bit of a curse as well. So. It's also a bit of a curse to have the same name as an adult movie star. Heidi Hansen, I feel for you. And she does say, I want a personal Twitter account that's separate from my business. So she's got Heidi Hansen, which is her name, and then she's got H Hansen Design, which is clearly a business. I mean, I guess you could do H Hansen Design and that's just your name completely. But yeah, I mean, what if... Who knows what's going to happen in another few years? And if you really want to separate the two, or you have a new career, there's all sorts of reasons why it's nice to just keep it simple with your name and your moniker. So, then again, it's not cool to be getting stuff that you find offensive in your reply lists. I'd say, just block those people and you won't see them again. But I don't know. I mean, in that industry, it's probably going to be hard to just block everybody who might be talking to, their lady star. What do you think, Amber? I'm not sure what Heidi should do. I want to tell her to hold on to that. That's your name, man. That's what I would do.
I think she's
but I
in
don't
a
have
tough
this
situation.
problem. Yeah.
But, I think she has one of two choices. One is to deal with the situation with some humor and, maybe within her bio on Twitter and other sites, just mention, no, not that Heidi Hansen, and then promote her business. Maybe she uses this totally to her advantage and it actually is beneficial for her in the long run because she's getting so many people interested in the other Heidi Hansen. They find her and maybe interested in what she does. But there is also the option for her to stick with the business name H Hansen Design and try to grow that business. I don't know a lot about her business, but I would say if it's something where she, it sounds like she's fairly new at it, but she plans to be doing that for a long time, I say, it's okay to maybe just use your business name and over time you can change. I mean, Sarah, we know that on Twitter, for example, you can change your username and still keep the same amount of followers and all those type of things. So you do have that option. So I think she needs to figure out which is right for her. But I think those are the two approaches that I would go for.
That's good advice, Amber. Heidi, let us know what you end up doing.
Yes,
so we get a sense of if you're happy with your choices and how things are going for you on Twitter. Sorry about all those terrible messages. I was not one of them.
I know.
Can I just say that right now? I did not tweet you by accident. Got another email from somebody who didn't leave their name. Says, I recently started getting into photography and I'm really loving it. I'm trying to find the best way to easily share my pictures across platforms, and I haven't found a solution. I'm looking for a web service where I can upload my photos, I do all my editing locally, and then easily share across Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'd also like to be able to send people to the site if they want to see all my pictures. I know Instagram is an option, and I have an account, but I don't like the required cropping. Any suggestions? Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of system you're using. If you were editing everything locally on your computer, you have a lot of this functionality within something like iPhoto if you're on a Mac. Or well, I'm trying to think off my head of what the Windows alternative would be. But I mean, a lot of that stuff can almost be, a system program in your operating system, because the social links are all part of that. Amber, I don't know. I mean, or there's something like 500 Pics, which is a great place to have your pictures sort of out there. I mean, you mentioned that you're getting into photography, so you're taking it seriously enough, and you're doing a lot of photo editing.
I keep thinking Flickr, but is that just too obvious? I don't know.
I don't think it's too obvious. No, if you upload a photo to Flickr, let me see
and you can share it, right? You
can share it. Let me see what my sharing options are by default, just on one of my latest pictures, because I want to make sure I'm giving the right advice. Okay, so I got a picture here, and if I guess I click into it here. I don't actually really usually blast out anything from Flickr. I'm usually bringing it in. Okay. So my actions are email, Tumblr, Twitter, or I can also share to Facebook, Pinterest. Oh, I see. Email, Tumblr, and Twitter are just services that I've already set up here. So you've got kind of the big stuff. You've got Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest. More ways to share is another option. LiveJournal, WordPress, or Blogger. If there was
a few options.
Yeah, so a few options there. They could beef this up a little bit. They're probably working on it. If I know Flickr, they're probably working on that right as we speak. But that would be another good option, Amber. And yeah, as we've sort of seen in the news recently, Flickr has risen from the dead in a way to become this photo site that everyone remembers is pretty great and has a lot of functionality and is pretty robust. So,
especially if he or she, if they want the option to be able to have their photos in their, full resolution images and something that looks really great, I think Flickr seems like a natural option. The only thing I'm wondering, just based on the emails, like I can't really see Flickr having integration with Google Plus ever, just because of the Yahoo Google rivalry. But maybe I'm wrong. But that's the only thing I think you would miss out on based on the email that was sent.
Somebody in chat says that those social sharing options are only live if you have a Flickr Pro account. Is that true? Because if so, that's something to consider as well. I mean, if you're looking for a completely free option, Flickr is not fully featured unless you pay for a Pro account, which I believe is $30 a year.
Something like that.
Something like that. It's reasonable, but it's too much for some people, and I understand that. So that's something to keep in consideration. But yeah, if we knew more about your home setup, you might have a lot of social sharing tools built into whatever program you're using to edit your photos.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you do. In the meantime, Sarah, for our social media campaign of the week, this one is pretty extensive. I actually stumbled across this on adweek.com. And I don't know if this is necessarily a good or bad campaign. What I will say is that it's a very extensive campaign. Obviously, the people behind it have put a lot of effort into it. It's a campaign by Taco Bell, and it's to promote their new appetizers. And they're using social media services, in an abundance of different services. The reason I wanted to share this campaign is because they do everything from having ads on BuzzFeed to having ads in Pandora to having ads in video games to promote tweets, to Facebook ads, to ads in YouTube, Yelp, PayPal. The brand is the first national advertiser for mobile navigation app Waze. And there's a ton of different things that they do. And it just seems to me that this campaign is one of the first truly integrated campaigns that I've ever seen in digital marketing. So I would encourage people in the digital marketing space to go to Adweek and read more about what they're doing and just see how they're trying to really attack a bunch of different communities by having this particular campaign across a bunch of different platforms.
You got to hand it to Taco Bell. They're really taking it seriously, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah. I'm not a big Taco Bell customer.
Me neither.
But it's aggressive. And what I kind of have to, I kind of have to give them something for this is that the people who are advertising for Taco Bell, they clearly know the space. They're understanding the services. We got to be here. BuzzFeed, Pandora. I mean, that's just, I know that there are a lot of people working in marketing and advertising who are not totally hip to the cool places that a company like Taco Bell should be. You know, if you're wondering where everybody's reading and sort of follow the memes type of a thing. So I guess good work, Taco Bell.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not a fan of the restaurant, I think what we see based on what they've been doing is, like you said, is that they're attacking, dozens of different communities. And I think too often what ends up happening with some advertisers and brands is that they end up just doing something on one platform only and then just hope to build out their community there. But a great idea is to have this cross-platform approach and to be able to try to really spread your message out if you are a company that appeals to more of a mass audience. So, and also, Sarah, I should say that I've been reading more Adweek, and I've been familiar with Adweek for a while now, but I do think for social media marketers, it's a great place to go to read more in-depth reports about campaigns. Mashable is great and everything, but if you want to get into campaigns in a meatier way, I would definitely recommend Adweek.
Yeah, Adweek is great. I'm with you. I've been reading a lot more Adweek as well. Wasn't really a conscious thing. There's just a lot of good stuff there. All right, let's get into the tweet of the week. With an old friend of many of us.
Yes. So if you were ever a member of MySpace, don't be embarrassed. We all were. You will remember that your first friend was, in fact, Tom Anderson, or MySpace Tom. Well, it looks like he's gotten a little bit saucy on Twitter this week. And in fact, a couple of people writing about it, this article on BuzzFeed. And it turns out that a particular user had sent him a message after Tom tweeted out this. He said, "People keep asking, so I'll say it. Fear over Instagram's terms change is ridiculous. Get real, folks." This is what Tom wrote. Someone wrote back. He said, at MySpace Tom, says the guys that was not able to keep a social network alive, obviously poking fun at Tom and MySpace, a bit of a jab. And then Tom writes back to this guy and he says, at Polo Tapia, this is the guy's username, says the guy who sold MySpace in 2005 for $580 million while you slave away hoping for a half day off.
Whoa.
So I know, a little...
Wow, Tom. MySpace Tom, giving it back.
Giving it back. I'm seeing more and more of this. Anderson Cooper is a classic example of someone on Twitter who tends to really give it back to people on Twitter who give him a hard time. And I think people are getting pretty comfortable and a little looser in terms of, fighting back in public. It's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing, too, as long as the insults hurled are based in fact, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know MySpace Tom. Who hangs out with MySpace Tom quite a bit is Trey Ratcliffe, who used to be a regular contributor on our a TWiT photo show. But these are always sorts of it's fun. This is the grab the popcorn, watch and see how it plays out type of a thing. I admit sometimes that I really try not to engage. If somebody says something that's derogatory or mean or whatever, it's always the best decision to just not do anything. However, sometimes I can't help myself. And so, yeah, if you've got, a good reason, that you can sort of send somebody back a little zing, it somehow feels sort of good. Because that if anyone else is paying attention, then they've seen it too.
Oh, yeah. I don't recommend it necessarily for everybody, but I think if you are MySpace Tom or Anderson Cooper and you've established a certain amount of credibility and have proven your value to different communities in the way that they have, then I think, a little zinger here and there, I think it inspires the rest of us. But I am not so bold, Sarah. I will admit it.
The other day, somebody wrote me, I'm totally paraphrasing, but I think I could probably find it. They wrote me and they were upset with, what are they upset with? Where are you? 22 hours ago. So it was after that. It doesn't really matter, I guess. This man wrote me and pretty much said, why are you such a biased person? Apple's been horrible for a long time, and you're just sort of an Apple apologist kind of thing. And I don't know, I was in a mood, and it was like, it was sort of like it was something that was designed to make me feel like I was sort of small or stupid or something. And I just wrote back just gibberish. I mean, I'm sure that he's like, what does she mean by that? It didn't make any sense. I just wrote it back, just a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense. And I got a kick out of it, because I was sort of like, just making this a situation where it's like it could have kind of ruined my afternoon, and I just decided to make it light. Why not? Let's all have a little bit of fun. It's just Twitter.
Yeah. I see that side too, Sarah.
Good. We do want to hear from all of you, whether it's on Twitter. You can always tweet directly at either Amber Mack or Sarah Lane. We're always listening. Or you can write us at the social hour at twit.tv. You can leave us a voicemail at 2626-SOCIAL. That's 2626 SOCIAL. That's our Google Voice mailbox. So you just leave a message and we'll try to play it on a future show. Try to keep it to 30 seconds or less. Or you can upload a video as well. If you've got something to show us or you want to talk about something, you don't want to spill your guts, you bring it over to Amber and Sarah. Just upload the video somewhere and send us the links because we're not going to open any attachments. All right, Amber, before we get to your rad or fad for the week, let's take a moment to thank Ford for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Ford has developed a variety of technologies that collect vehicle data and use it and enhance it to improve the overall experience of driving for all of us. Well, all of us that are in Fords, of course. Two examples of these are BLISS, that stands for Blind Spot Information System, and Active Park Assist. So let's talk about BLISS first. You've got sensors in both the vehicle rear quarter panels that scan potential blind spots to detect traffic. And if another vehicle is in that blind spot, whether they're in a blind spot in another lane on the freeway, whether in the blind spot as you're backing out of a parking space, in a parking garage type of a thing, where it's kind of tight in there and you don't really have a lot of visibility, those audio and visual alerts will warn you as the driver, hey, got someone there, you don't want to move yet. That's really, really helpful because you do your best, but blind spots happen, especially, if something's dark or somebody's going a little too fast. BLISS technology also enables a feature called Cross Traffic Alert. This can warn the driver of oncoming traffic when you're backing out of that space with obstructed views. If you're in between two vans, that kind of thing. Another technology is Active Park Assist, and this one is kind of mind-blowing. Uses sensors to, number one, find a suitable parallel parking space. Well, you find the parking space, but then Active Park Assist will let you know if it's big enough. Like, can this car get in the parking space? Because sometimes you think you're going to fit, but it's going to be pretty tight. You can calculate exactly what angles it has to go in and how many times it needs to overcorrect in order to get into that space. It steers the car precisely into that spot. It's like, it's like a player piano. There's nobody there. It's just driving itself. It's parking itself. It does all of this in as little as 24 seconds. So, if you're in a hurry and, you're on a hill, I'm describing my life in San Francisco, of course, and you've got this tiny little space and you think, I think I can fit in here. It's going to be so hard. You just turn on Active Park Assist and you kind of just lay back and watch. All the driver operates is the accelerator, so you control at least how fast everything is going, the gear selector and the brake pedal. It is awesome. Very clear that Ford is at the forefront of new technologies that will help driving enter the next millennium. I don't know. It's futuristic stuff. What can I say? BLISS with Cross Traffic Alert and Active Park Assist are available in the 2013 Ford Fusion and 2013 Ford Taurus models. You can learn more about this and other technologies that Ford is putting into its vehicles at ford.com/technology. They've really put together a nice site there. If you are in the market for a vehicle, please do yourself a favor. Go to ford.com/technology and get a sense of what you can get in your next model Ford because it's pretty exciting. A lot of this stuff they're really way ahead of the competition. All right, Amber, back to the show and back to Rad or Fad, special holiday edition.
All right, so before I get into the Rad or Fad, I have to apologize to people watching the video feed because my light just went out as it did on another episode we shot here, but I'm trying to improve the lighting and hopefully it's okay now.
No, it looks completely fine.
Okay, good. Nonetheless, for our Rad or Fad this week, we're going to talk about a camera concept. Now, this is not available to anyone just yet, but it is an interesting concept that one designer has come up with. The idea is that the photographer, the person taking pictures of groups, is always left out of the images. I know my partner, Chris, he definitely suffers from this. He's always taking pictures. He's never in the photos. So this particular person came up with an idea that there would be a camera that took pictures, but also at the same time, because they were would be a back camera. The back camera would capture a photo of the photographer and insert the photographer into the photo of the group so that they were also participating. I don't know what to say, Sarah. I'm going to throw it over to you.
Okay. I'm trying to... I think it's rad just because it's like, oh, that's an interesting novel concept. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't know if it's something that a lot of people would want to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, sometimes the people who are photographers don't necessarily always want to be in photos. That's been my experience with a lot of photographers, is that they like being behind the camera. But I guess more and more, and I think this feature is actually more interesting, not necessarily on a special camera, but more interesting in a smartphone. I could see people who love to share on smartphones. The idea that you could take two photos simultaneously might be kind of interesting. So I think the concept could be kind of rad if the execution was done right.
Yeah. I mean, there's always there's that group photo where it's like, oh, there's 8 of us, yay. Okay, well, who's going to take the picture? Like, it's the waiter. The waiter always ruins the picture, and so then there's the one person, and then it's like, okay, well, now I want to be in it, so somebody else has to get out of it. So you could be creative, I guess, and it's kind of depending on the photographer. I mean, there are a lot of really interesting photographers who might be interested in. Yeah, I don't know. Jury's out on this one a little bit. I think
the problem is, sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
The only issue I think is when you look at the photo, then all of a sudden, we know because we're talking about it, the photographer is the guy or the girl in the bottom corner in the square box. But I think if the photos get passed around, it looks a little weird. Yeah,
it does look a little weird. Brian in our chat room says it's sort of narcissistic. Now, I don't know if that's true because, I mean, if you're a photographer as a job, you're not going to be inserting your face into every photo that you take. But if it's just, if you're taking a picture of everybody at a dinner party and it just would have been nice to have everybody in the photo, it's a little bit of a workaround. I don't see this gaining wide adoption, though. So in that case, I think maybe I would call it a fad.
Fad. Yeah, I think I'm leaning more towards that after talking about it and looking again at that image and look how weird it looks. I think that it would be, I think it could be a fad. Yeah. I think it could be a fad.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to see these on a lot of cameras, at CES, let's say, this year and next.
Not yet, Sarah, not yet. There's time, though.
Well, Amber, there is time, but you know what there isn't time for? More show, because we're at the end of our hour. Sadly, that is it for this episode of The Social Hour. Reminder, I said this at the beginning of the show, but we have a special a show. Well, it's a regular show, but it's a special show because it's during next week on Friday that will air. But none of us are actually going to be here, so it's a pre-recorded episode. So you get your Social Hour. But some of the news may have changed by then. We just don't know. It's hard to say. But normally, of course, we do shoot the show live. If you want to check us out live at Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And for all of those of you who don't watch live and watch on demand, you're just as good. You're even better. Nah, you're not better. Everyone's exactly equal. But anybody who watches or listens to our show, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have wonderful holidays, and you will see us next week, and we'll be back with a brand new show in 2 weeks in 2013, the first Friday of then, and twit.tv/TSH. In the meantime, is the way to keep up with all of our past shows, show notes, and the like. Until next time, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur, and have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2013.